Hello, this is BiomedRx Radio. I am your host, Devin Lockett, owner of the BiomedRx Health Center. BiomedRx Radio is about high-tech holistic healthcare solutions. CES, or Cranial Electrostimulation Therapy, uses low-level electrical current to safely and effectively treat anxiety, depression, insomnia, and post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. By attaching ear clips to your ears, small electrical pulses help your brain produce beneficial neurotransmitters. CES safely promotes brain health by gently helping your body produce serotonin, norepinephrine, and endorphins, which all increase relaxation and well-being. Backed by over 200 studies, this clinically proven innovative technology is used worldwide as a non-pharmaceutical approach to improving relaxation, mental health, sleep, and cognitive ability, as well as reducing aches, discomforts, and cravings. Explore the benefits of CES at the BiomedRx Health Center, located at 916 North Mountain Avenue, Suite D1, Upland, California, 91786, or visit us online at www.biomedrxhealthcenter.com. Today, our guest is Mr. David Siever. David is an inventor, an entrepreneur, and the president of MindAlive Inc, the manufacturer of CES devices, or we would say brain entrainment devices. How are you, David?
Hi, Devin. I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
Very well, very well. Thank you for joining us on our show. I really have to say, I have had your device, the David, for a few months now, a couple of months, and I've been using it on a pretty regular basis. After about 500 sessions of neurofeedback, I can say that I have definitely noticed an improvement and cognitive function in myself, and my overall quality of life has improved. Can you share with us a little bit of information about yourself and how you came about to develop these products?
Sure. Yeah, I got involved with cranial electrostimulation first, and then I got into audiovisual entrainment. And I had a job at the University of Alberta designing a research lab for TMJ dysfunction. And while I was there, dentists make splints to put in people's mouths, or these mouth guards they put in. People have TMJ problems. But when I was there, I discovered that most of it was actually an anxiety and stress, life stuff, mostly. In fact, most of our patients were wives of oil workers. And in the 80s, and Alberta's a big oil producer, but it's not cheap to extract our oil from the ground here. And in the 80s, oil dropped as low as $12 a barrel. And, of course, there was a lot of worry about layoffs and wage rollbacks and this and that. And when I started analyzing about 500 of our patients, it turns out that about 85% of them were wives of oil workers, going through a great deal of stress from the price of oil and worrying about their husbands losing their jobs. At that time, we started making nerve stimulators, and then the nerve stimulators we were using them right around the ear. We didn't know at the time we weren't actually using them as a CES device. We were using them to stimulate the trigeminal nerve, but they were having CES effects, which we weren't aware of at the time until we learned more about it. But in 1984, an instructor in performing arts had heard about flashing lights and pulsing sounds at different frequencies. You could put people into trance, and you could put them in hypnotic states and so on, and you could do hypnosis with them. And he was an instructor in performing arts, and he was having a lot of trouble with students who were experiencing stage fright before they went on stage and during performances. So I just designed the audiovisual entrainment, or AVE, for him so that he could help the students overcome stage fright. And in those days, AVE was mostly used for hypnotic induction, and they were using alpha theta range type frequencies usually. But then we did a study in our TMJ patients, which we published in 1988, and we found it was so effective at relaxing jaw tension. We didn't expect it, and it was we had never seen anything more effective at relaxing a tense jaw than audiovisual entrainment. So we published that study, and then I thought, well, this just can't be a new age fad. There's got to be some research on something if it's this good. And discovered the whole idea of driving brainwaves was discovered back in 1934, and there were a bunch of little studies done since then. mostly on hypnotic induction. And people didn't really experiment with the other frequencies or other aspects of AVE. We did a pain study in 92 with the University of Alberta and found that it was, again, the most effective technique that the university had for treating not just chronic pain from occupational injury, but also suicide. A lot of these guys are highly suicidal after not working for 5 years and things like this. And in fact, in the study, only people who had attempted suicide were allowed in the study. And I tracked those clients, and they were all alive 5 years later and doing very well. Many of them returned back to work, actually. So the pain thing was really fascinating. And then a group out of Texas started experimenting with faster frequencies in the beta wave range for treating attention deficit disorder. And sure enough, they found that it worked well for ADD. So we did a few ADD studies as well, and our biggest study was 7 schools, 200 kids out of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Then we thought, well, what about college students? If we can sharpen up an ADD brain or ADHD brain, can we sharpen up a college student, give them better grades?
Peak performance.
So then we did 2 studies on that, and indeed, typically a college student using this can push their grades up a good whole GPA higher.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yes. And then we thought, well, what about seniors? So then we started trying it with seniors, and our latest study,
cognitive
that
decline.
was done in California. Pardon?
With cognitive decline.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And Alzheimer's as well. In fact, I'm really trying to collect Alzheimer's clients right now for a study we're doing on Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Because we so far have a few Alzheimer's people, and they went to complete remissions. But we don't have enough data yet to publish. So I want to do some real thorough brain mapping and back it up extremely well with medical evaluations as well as our own brain mapping. But the senior study that was done in California a few years ago, they doubled memory in 1 month, and the average age of the group was 68, and their brain waves were starting to slow down because they were getting older. And so they did EEGs on them, and you're familiar, of course, with that, given you do neurofeedback.
Yes.
After 1 month, their brain sped up to roughly be the equivalent of a 50-year-old.
That's good.
So basically, we took 68-year-olds and we made them basically 50-year-olds between improving memory and speeding up their brainwaves.
Like a fountain of youth for the brain.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got other studies on seniors as well now. That was just our latest study.
Excellent. For those of you just joining us, this is Devin Lockett and BiomedRx Radio, high-tech holistic health solutions here on AM 590 and AM590theanswer.com. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry for interrupting you. No trouble at all. So we merged the CES into the audiovisual entrainment with a device called the Delight Pro, so people could run both simultaneously. We find, generally speaking, the CES is a little more hit and miss. Sometimes it doesn't seem to work on people, and sometimes it works profoundly well. But no one has done brainwave mapping of those who are best CES responders. So I started mapping our clients about a year ago and try them on different things. And I map everyone while they're on treatment as well. And I also map them on follow-up. So I do a lot of brain mapping. I collect a lot of information. Now, when you say mapping, this is the same as a quantitative EEG, as a QEEG? That's right. Yeah, we're doing QEEGs. Well, basically, you do an EEG, and then when you process it on the computer, it becomes a QEEG. After it's processed or quantified. That's what the Q stands for. And so anyway, we look at both the raw EEG because there's all kinds of interesting things you can see in the raw EEG, like little spikes, or because there's enough people out there who've got little, what they call isolated epileptic discharges. And believe it or not, entrainment calms that down. CES I'm not sure about, but we did find a subtype of people who respond instantly to CES. We put it on them, and within 2 minutes, they're like, oh, my God, this is the best thing ever. Yes. And these are people who have fast-running alpha frequencies. Normally, when you close your eyes, the alpha runs at about 10 hertz. You see your alpha waves coming out at about 10 cycles per second. Yes. These people are running typically 13, 14, 15, 16 in that range. They're highly norepinephrine, and so there's too much adrenaline in their brain. And CES works on that
beautifully, just calms it down immediately. So there are people, especially those with PTSD, trauma, they've got cognitive, like the military has a lot of issues with this, they have actual impact traumas from concussions and things like this, and they have anxiety and they have PTSD on top of it all. So when you combine the audiovisual with the CES, it is extremely effective in that group of people. And that also includes all kinds of people who've been abused as children, and all of that, people gone through terrible divorces or abused as adults.
They've accumulated dysregulation in the neocortex because of traumatic experiences that they've had. Yeah, exactly. And enough concussed people will show it too. Most of the time with concussions, we see it on the top of the brain, but sometimes concussions will hit the brainstem, and then the brain waves will go wild because the brainstem is off. In that case, CES works better because the CES mostly targets the brainstem, and then we will use the audiovisual for the rest of the brain. Very good.
And if there's a specific site, then we'll use something else called transcranial DC stimulation. Yes. But that's another technology again.
Now, we're coming up on the first half of our show already, believe it or not. BiomedRx Optimum Daily Formula is a balanced, convenient, economical one-a-day multiple vitamin mineral supplement for adults. It is vegetarian and gluten-free. BiomedRx Optimum Daily Formula combines 27 nutrients, including active form of vitamin B12, active form of vitamin B6, quadrafolic, vitamin K2, coenzyme Q10, alpha-lipoic acid, and lutein, lycopene, and xanthocin. You can find it online at www.biomedrxsupplements.com. We'll be back after this break with more of David Siever. Thank you. Hello, I'm Devin Lockett, owner of BiomedRx Health Center. Have traditional therapies for chronic conditions such as headaches, migraines, ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, or many others failed you? Have you or a family member struggled with addictions? Are you an athlete striving for peak performance? BiomedRx Health Center provides holistic and alternative therapies using a unique protocol of neurofeedback and biomagnetism to help those struggling with issues that traditional medicine have been inadequate in providing optimal results. Neurofeedback prepares the brain for peak performance and athletic achievement. Biomagnetic pair therapy helps restore the body to a state of balance that empowers the body's own immune system to defend against illnesses. We at BiomedRx Health Center invite you to experience the unique combination of therapies and training available. For more information and a free consultation, call us at 909-608-2880. That's 909-608-2880. Tune in every Sunday at noon to BiomedRx Radio to learn how we can help in bringing you relief with high-tech, holistic healthcare solutions.
AM 590, The Answer.
We're back with Mr. David Siever of MindAlive Incorporated. I want to take a minute right now to talk about the devices, just for our audience to understand specifically what these devices are. They're very portable, small devices with they can fit into your pocket. There's a plug-in for headphones. There's a plug-in for I guess you could say glasses, but they're light delivering devices, and they are the cranial electrostimulation clips that go onto your ears. They really do improve cognitive function and mood and quality of life. I understand that the two main devices are the David and the Alert. Mr. Siever, can you explain to us the difference between those two?
Yeah, not quite. The Alert really is kind of a David device.
Okay.
It's just geared more for ADHD, but it's still an audiovisual entrainment device. But we do have a device called the Oasis, and the Oasis is CES and transcranial DC stimulation, which is used a lot for tuning specific sites on the brain that are struggling, and which is often stroke. But so anyway, yeah, so the Alert is basically more of an ADHD-driven audiovisual entrainment device.
Nice. Now, one of the things... Excuse me?
Oh, either the Delight or the David Delight or the David Alert, you can use them either one really for a lot of issues.
Yes, yes. Now, I've been using the David, and I can tell you that once my serotonin got into balance, I definitely noticed a difference in my personality and, basically my overall quality of life. It's really hard to put into words these concepts. I think we were speaking about this earlier, and you had a very good phrase, bringing the best out of yourself, because that is exactly what happens.
Yeah, with stress, as soon as you have an anxious thought, which is basically a fearful thought, could be paying bills, could be, life hassles, all kinds of, there's hundreds of things that we can think of that can trigger a fear response. Serotonin suppresses in the frontal lobes within 2 seconds because your body wants to prepare you for flight or fight, and you can't be in a flight or fight response if your serotonin is high. So within 2 seconds, your serotonin gets suppressed and your norepinephrine, or your brain's adrenaline, and your adrenals kick in. And people are functioning in that, especially hard-pushing people climbing the corporate ladder and all that. They're
peak performers.
They're burning themselves up all the time in that state.
Yes.
And you can't be social in that state. You can't connect with people. You can't read facial expression well. That is one of the biggest things I think that is happening with our anxious society these days, or the rat race society, is that people are losing their ability to connect socially.
Yep, they're in survival mode.
You're in survivor mode. You can't socialize in survivor mode. At least men can't. Women, not too bad, but men really, really struggle with socialization in their survivor mode. And as you can see, there's a lot of men who are in survivor mode, and they're rather aggressive and violent. But as soon as you calm them down, they're good.
This is the truth.
In the process of being in survivor mode, too, people have a tendency to eat poorly. They don't sleep well. They don't reason well. Then they start craving stuff, whether it's alcohol or whether it's junk food, carbs. And then they get tied up in craving, in addictions, as a result of being in flight or fight for too long a period of time. And so, and then they just spiral downwards, right?
Yes, it happens. For those of you who are just joining us, this is BiomedRx Radio with Devin Lockett, high-tech holistic healthcare solutions from the BiomedRx Health Center. The BiomedRx Health Center is located at 916 North Mountain Avenue, Suite D1, Upland, California, 91786, at the southeast corner of Foothill Boulevard and Mountain Avenue in the city of Upland. You can find us online at www.biomedrxhealthcenter.com or call us at 909-608-2880. Again, that's 909-608-2880. Mr. Siever, what types of conditions do you find the David and the Alert are able to help most often with?
We use them for so many things.
Yes.
As you know, general stress and anxiety, they work fairly well for depression. For seniors, boosting cognition in seniors, college students. We have a study actually out of U of T in the University of Texas in Austin that also showed that amongst the techniques that they use within their psychology department, they found that entrainment was the most effective technique for reducing worry in college students. It's used for seniors. I'd say right now the thing that we're seeing the most that is just incredible is the use of the audiovisual entrainment for treating head injuries. It is absolutely fabulous what it is doing for head injuries. I have a 90-minute lecture on YouTube right now explaining why it works for head injuries, and it's phenomenal. It can start fixing a head injury typically in about 20 minutes.
Wow.
Never seen anything like it. I'll eventually be publishing a large paper on it. And head injuries have a tendency, as soon as people get there's a certain type of head injury that is really prevalent, which we call a thalamocortical disconnect, and it's in the population everywhere, and it can be triggered by a viral infection. You don't have to have a head injury to get it, and there's thousands of people falling through the cracks who've had a viral infection, a flu or something, and then a few months later they're not functioning very well. Then they lose their job, and they can't do anything right. And everybody thinks they're just being a deadbeat, and their brain is shut down.
And this has the same effect as TBI from traumatic brain injury?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Wow.
In fact, we're finding that for the most part, concussions aren't caused by concussions. How's that for interesting?
Wow,
They're
really?
caused by so many people get a concussion, and 3 days later they're back at work, and they're fine. So, but a month later, they're struggling, and 2 months later they're unemployable, and they're a mess. And some get violent, some become substance abusers, they have a tendency to become obsessive compulsive. They all develop an anxiety disorder and a severe sleep disorder. And they lose their alpha waves. Their alpha waves disappear completely because this loop to the thalamus gets broken. But it's still there. It just shuts down, and it's the inflammation that's doing it. The injury heals, but the inflammation shuts down the brain, particularly the glia. And yes, we have got many documented cases now of people who their lives just went to pieces after they had a viral infection. And because, of course, they had nothing to pin the blame on, they were just told to smarten up and get their act together. But they can't. They look just like someone who's been hit with a baseball bat.
Wow.
You can't tell. You really can't tell the difference. And I got hoarders, counters, cutters, alcoholics, all kinds of people, and their brainwaves are pretty much all identical. It's all in my YouTube video. I show all these different cases of this, and entrainment fixes it up. In many cases, 20 minutes. And then we send them home with the unit, and they keep using it at home to keep the brain going. And generally, within about 2 months, the brain is running absolutely fine.
Now, I'd like our audience to find out more about your YouTube videos. Do you have a YouTube channel that they can look for?
Well, I'm not sure what MindAlive has, but they can certainly go to the MindAlive website. So MindAlive.com.
MindAlive.
Training tab.
Training, yes. And
then scroll down, and at the bottom of the training tab, you see concussion, TBI, its relation to Alzheimer's, CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and treatment with audiovisual entrainment.
Wow. That's www.mindalive.com. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And this is a huge breakthrough, not only in terms of treatment technique, but we also had to identify the EEG signature and the QEEG signature of what this looks like. And every single case, too, I have a feeling we're going to find that if you untreated, it turns into either Alzheimer's or chronic traumatic encephalitis, and maybe even multiple sclerosis. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to get some people. I'm trying to round up some people now to do an MS study to see if their brain signature looks the same. But it's possible it is.
Mm. So all of these neurodegenerative conditions can result not only from a traumatic injury to the head, but also as a result of a viral infection.
That's correct. Yep. And those with the viral infections have no idea. And usually hits them a few months later. It doesn't hit them right away because it's caused by the inflammation and the shutting down of the glia, which are astrocytes and oligodendrocytes. And when that happens, all kinds of things start spinning out of control or shutting down in the brain and spin off from it. And people have no idea what the cause was. But we're starting to get this nailed down, and it's going to be a big thing when we have it all. I'll be publishing on this, you can bet. I'm just collecting more information yet.
Very interesting. BiomedRx Optimum Woman is the only woman's high-potency, full-spectrum multivitamin supplement to contain 56 nutrients, including those most important for today's woman, such as calcium for bone health, iron for healthy red blood cells, beta-carotene, biotin for nail and hair health, gamma-linoleic acid from evening primrose oil, octasenol, grapeseed extract, a potent antioxidant important for maintaining capillary strength, and vegetarian digestive enzymes. The BiomedRx line of vitamins, detoxifying products, and other supplements are made only of the highest quality, all-natural ingredients. We have supplements to fit every age, gender, and lifestyle, from children to adults to seniors. BiomedRx Supplements has what you need. Visit us online at www.biomedrxsupplements.com. This brings us to the end of our show. Thank you for joining us, Mr. David Siever. I hope I can have you on future episodes of BiomedRx Radio. This has been very informative.
I'd love to be a part of your operation and get on your radio. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. And you can find his products at www.mindalive.com or www.biomedrxsupplements.com. Take care, be healthy, and see you next week.